Thank you. So thanks everybody for being here. The first thing we want to do is we want to go through the key timelines and make sure that everybody is aware of that. So right now we are in the time where you can add or remove seats. This is in between the first matching round and the second matching round. So if you need to do that in order to prepare yourself for the second matching round, you can reach out to us. You can add your own seats if you would like to do that, but if you need to decline your seats, you need to reach out to me and I will help you with that.
This is rest time.
The
Okay.
second, the second one, Leanne, could you mute yourself, please?
Yes.
The second matching round will happen on March 16th, and that is when that algorithm is run. The state usually takes a couple of days to make sure that everything is the way it needs to be, and then they will publish the next set of matches, proposed matches to you on the 18th, and you look at them between the 18th and the 23rd. And if you have a reason to decline a match that has happened with you, then just a reminder, the only reasons that are available to you are the ones that you put in your setup form. If you have no reasons in your setup form, then you may not decline a child. The matches go to the families on March 24th, and they have between the 24th and the 31st to accept or decline their match. And then April 1 starts direct enrollment. So that is the process that you use to be able to directly enroll children into any seats that you may have that reach out to you. Okay. The state is thinking about really moving most of the support for enrollment to the state in July or August. And so we're not quite sure how they're going to make that work because the volume across the state is pretty significant. We're still in talks with them about whether or not that's really the best way to go. But in preparation for them moving a lot of the technical support to the state level, we wanted to remind you about the things that you can do on your own. So, first of all, you can update your profile in Bridge Care. And the provider handbook, which a link to that handbook is on the JIUPK page, um, is pages 19 and 20 in the provider handbook. It shows you how to update your profile. It is your responsibility to keep your profile up to date. So please make sure that you do that and look at the instructions in the handbook if you're not sure how to do that. You can directly enroll children into your program during the direct enrollment period, and that's pages 43 to 51 in the provider handbook. It shows you exactly how to do that. You can enroll children when they are in accepted status. Please remember that you can't enroll unless they're in accepted status, and that's pages 34 and 35 in the provider handbook. You can unenroll a child when they have dropped or have stopped attending. And that is something that you should be doing if the child is, if you've already enrolled them in the program and now they're changing programs or something of that sort, you should unenroll them from your program before you reach out to us and ask for help in getting them into another program. So unenrollment is pages 36 to 40 in the provider handbook. As we already talked about, you can decline children if you have an appropriate reason, and the decline explanations are pages 27 through 33 in the provider handbook. And you can add seats to your program. Remember that you cannot decrease seats, but you can add seats. And that's pages 52 and 53 in the provider handbook in terms of how to do that. You can view your enrollment report to determine if a child is eligible for supplemental hours. I will say that the state is having some issues with this particular report. So if you look at your report and you're still not sure whether a child is eligible, you can contact us and we can let you know. It's pages 55 and 56 in the provider handbook. And again, if you need help with that, let us know. And families have been receiving notification of whether or not they are eligible for supplemental hours. So if a family shows you an email that says that they are eligible, then you can go ahead and take that to the bank because that's coming from CDEC saying that they are eligible. You can set your own tuition for any additional hours not awarded through UPK, and that's page 61 in the provider handbook. And remember that you must publish your tuition and fees in the in your profile to allow you to charge
Yep.
those fees and tuition to UPK families. So again, we can discuss that further with you if you need to. If your fees are going to change for 25 or for 26, 27, you need to update your fees in your profile. I do understand that many of you are not prepared to do that because you don't know what the state is going to pay you yet, and you won't know that until June or July. So if you want to update them at that point, you can certainly do that. Excuse me. You can submit a ticket for clarification or assistance with payment issues. That's page 60 in the UPK handbook. That's going to go to Metrics IQ, and there is a link there in the handbook to the Metrics IQ ticket. You can submit a help desk ticket for any non-payment issues, and you can either send that to us or you can send it to help .upk.colorado.gov. That goes directly to the state help desk. And if they can't help you for some reason, they're going to send it back to us. And you can contact me or Heather if any of the above processes are not working or you need training on these processes. And here are, of course, the emails for the two of us. And our telephone numbers are up on the UPK page. And for those of you who don't remember how to get to the UPK page, it is www.jointinitiatives.org/UPK. And our information is up there. I also, and we're going to have a time for questions here about anything that you want to ask, but I want to remind you all that the quality standards are going to into effect on July 1st of 2026. As I said in the email that I just sent out to you, there is more information that is coming on that. The state is developing an easy reference for what the basic quality standards are at this point. That's not yet finished but it's coming. There is information up on our website about quality standards and links to the actual rule around the quality standards if you want to read that. A reminder that there is a resource bank out there and that this has come from the slide you're seeing right now has come from the provider handbook along with this next one that does have links to various information on the quality standards. I think the number one thing that you should be concerned about is the professional development requirements and also the minimum requirements for lead teachers, etc. So that right now aligns with that licensing. So that should you should look those things up and make sure that you're in compliance. There is also child to adult ratios depending upon your Colorado Shines ranking that you need to look at also. Okay, now for any of you who are not staying for the basics of UPK, what questions do you have about anything? All good? Okay, so the only thing I want to add here is you should start training yourself and your staff to do as much of this stuff on your own that you have the permission to be able to do so that you do not have to rely on the state to take care of you. I do believe we're going to get funding cuts at JI because the state is combining the work of early childhood councils and LCOs into one entity. It's already under joint initiatives. Both the Early Childhood Council and the LCOs are under one entity, but the state budget is quite tight, and they will be cutting funding to early childhood councils to be able to do the UPK support, which is why they are moving a lot of it to the state. So the state has already admitted that they're not quite sure how they're going to handle the volume. So we are expecting that we will continue to handle the volume. I feel pretty sure that Heather and I will still be on board for another year. But we are going to have less funding and are going to have to rearrange some duties for JI to be able to do that. So you're not going to be left without support. There are still some things that are going to be the function of the LCOs, including support for quality standards as well as onboarding new providers. But a lot of the enrollment support is going to be moving to the state. Not to say that we won't be able to take care of you as long as our permissions don't change, but I can't guarantee that. So the bottom line is learn how to do everything that you can do on your own. And as you're learning that over the next 3 or 4 months, if you're having any questions or something isn't working, we would prefer to support you in teaching you how to do that than have to rely on the state because they're not sure how they're going to handle the volume at this point. So that's my best advice to you right now. Other questions? Any questions? One more time before we jump into UPK 101 for the newer people.
Stacy asked Noreen if you can put the quality standards page back on the screen.
Yes, I'm not monitoring the chat, so thank you for that. So this is in the UPK handbook. Okay, I don't know what page it's on because the page isn't on here. So it's this one and then this one. So there's no need to take a picture or whatever. They're in the handbook, and I'm sure that the links are working there. Okay. What else? Okay. In that case, any of you who are not staying for UPK 101, thank you for being here. We appreciate it. And now we're going to move on to the basics of UPK to help those that are new to the process. So, as we have been talking about, the provider handbook is really your friend. The state is keeping this up to date as much as possible. The link is up on the JIUPK page, along with a lot of other information up there that CDEC memos, things of that sort that you may need to reference as a provider. So please make sure that you have access to the provider handbook, bookmark it, something, so that you can look this up. This is the table of contents of the provider handbook. You can see there's everything from the program overview all the way down to a section on quality standards and everything in between. So we're going to go over some of these things so that you can ask questions if you're not sure what it is we're talking about. And you can either raise your hand, which Heather will monitor that for me, or you can put it in the chat, which again, Heather's going to have to monitor for me. Okay, we're first going to talk about eligibility, just so that you know every child who has a birth date that places them in their year before kindergarten is eligible for a minimum of 15 hours of UPK free. Okay. Um, and some families are eligible for 30 hours. Okay. So it's either 15 or 30, but all children, no matter what, are eligible for 15 hours. Okay. It's not based on an income. It's not based on anything other than the fact that they have a birth date that is makes them eligible in their year before kindergarten. There are no exceptions to that. If 5-year-olds would like to redshirt, their parents would like to redshirt them, that's absolutely fine. They can stay in preschool, but it's going to be without UBK support. Okay. 3-year-olds, the only way that they get free preschool is if they apply to their school district and the school district has money to serve 3-year-olds and that family meets some eligibility standards for 3-year-olds. So 3-year-olds go to the school district. They do not apply through UPK with one exception. If the 3-year-old has an individual education plan, they apply through UPK and then their application goes directly to their home school district. We don't touch it. Okay. So all 3-year-olds, school district. 4-year-olds eligible for a minimum of 15 hours. Some are eligible for 30. So, and we call that supplemental hours. Okay. So the folks who are eligible for supplemental hours, if their household income is less than 100% of the federal poverty guidelines, then they are automatically eligible for 30 hours. They should, when they apply, state that they are interested in additional hours and they should make sure that they upload their proof of income into their application at that time. If they are considered to be low income, which is 100% to 270% of poverty, they have to have an additional eligibility factor. And that means that they are either unhoused, their child's primary language is something other than English, or the primary language, well, it's actually and the primary language spoken in the household is something other than English. They're in foster kinship care, or they're eligible for special education with an IEP. Those are the factors. So if they're between 100% and 270%, they must have one of these other factors, and they must upload their proof of income the into their application when they submit it. Okay, these are the only folks that are eligible for an additional 15 hours or 30 hours per week. Okay, so in the handbook, it shows what the poverty levels are for the 26-27 school year. So for your information, you can see that. These questions are asked in the application, and families self-disclose what their income is. But again, they have to upload proof of income within the application before the supplemental hours will be awarded. Okay, let's talk about a couple of key terms. Excuse me. So, a provider can offer however many program options you would like for families to choose from. Excuse me. And duration is the number of hours per week a program offers. So, a part-time program, either AM or PM, is between 10 and 15 hours a week. If a child is enrolled in this program, the provider is only paid for 10 hours. Okay. And then any additional hours over that, the provider can charge for. But there is a 10-hour rate, a part-day rate, part-time rate, and that's what applies to the part-time program. A half-day program is defined as between 15 and 30 hours a week, AM or PM, and any child who is enrolled in a half-day program, you, the provider, are only awarded a payment for 15 hours per week. So anything above that, you can charge for if they're in a half-day program. Okay? A full-day program is 30 to 40 hours per week. And so a child who is eligible for 30 hours, in order to take advantage of that, has to be enrolled in either a full day program or an extended day program. Okay. They cannot take advantage of their 30 hours in a half day program or an 18-hour a week program or even a 29-hour a week program. They have to be enrolled in a full day or an extended day program to take advantage of the 30 hours. An extended day is defined as 41 plus hours per week. So again, you also can, you might have a program that is 16 hours a week, and you can actually decide that you're going to set up a 16-hour a week program just so that families are aware of the fact that it's 16 hours. Um, and or you can set up a half day program and make it easier for yourself, but it's up to you. They're all in the provider setup form. So as you're doing your setup form each year, you're choosing which programs that you want to offer. Okay, so again, all of these slides that I'm showing you are in the provider handbook. So at any point along the line, you're looking at that and you're going, "Man, that was too fast." You can go back and look at it again in the provider handbook. Okay. Um, Now, the definition, if a family is in a 10-hour per week program, it's considered to be part-time, and the provider is required to offer at least 360 hours of direct services per program year. So if it's a 10-hour program, your calendar must reflect being open and serving for a minimum of 360 hours per program year. And if you're offering a half day program, it's 450 hours. And if you're offering a 30-hour per week program, then it's 900 hours. So, as you're developing your calendar, you also need to make sure, first of all, you have to submit a calendar. And if you have not already done that, there is a link on the UPK page to where you submit your program calendar for 26-27. You are required to do that. If you haven't done it already, we're going to chase you down later and get you to submit it. And you also have to make sure that you have enough hours that if you close for snow days or whatever, you're still meeting that minimum 360, 450, or 900 hours. Okay. So you can read the rest of this, but this is the key point here for those of you that are just developing your calendars. So you are responsible for setting up and keeping up to date your provider profile. Okay. There is a pencil icon that you can see on the right side of your location name. And when you click on that, it allows you to be able to update your profile. Um, the more information that you put in the profile, the more competitive you're going to be when families move into the county and are looking for a provider, a UPK provider. This is your marketing, but it's also your communication. You must upload your tuition and your fees under additional payment options in order to charge that tuition or fees to UPK families. That is in the provider agreement. You are not allowed to charge anything that is not in that profile. So again, if you need assistance there, a little bit later, probably toward the end of the summer, we'll be monitoring the providers, making sure that that information is up there for families and that it is up to date. So please make sure that you get that up to date. There's all sorts of other things you can upload here. We have up on the UPK page a kind of a video that we did for marketing purposes on talking about how you can make your profile the best it can be. If you want to look at that, you're certainly free to. It's on the UPK page. Okay, I'm going to stop and ask if there are any questions so far, because this is a lot of information. Do you have any questions on what we've covered so far? Okay, good. Nothing in the chat? Okay. All right, now we're going to talk about the enrollment phases. So, two of these phases were we have either already happened or are in process. The pre-registration phase was that we started in December and ran till early February, is for families who had continuity of care with you. So they had priority with you because they were attending as a 3-year-old, they had a sibling who was attending, or the child was a child of a staff member. And those were folks that could have been matched directly with you before any kind of matching started. That is over. And continuity of care no longer takes priority in anymore. So if it didn't get done during that time, then those families are in the same situation as every other family who is going through matching right now. So matching is what happened behind that. There are two matching algorithms. The first has already happened. And the way matching works is every family who has applied for UPK receives a lottery number. And it is not a number that you can see. And even if you could see it, you couldn't understand it. So they have received a lottery number. And based on their lottery number, the algorithm tries to match to the family to their first choice. And if there are seats at their first choice in the program that they put down as their first choice, then they will be matched there. If there are no seats available, it will say program full and it will go down to their second choice. Okay. If it can't get them into the second choice, it'll go down to third, all the way down the list. And families, when they initially apply, can put up to 10 providers, 10 programs in their application. So the first matching round, when it was over, you as providers saw the folks with proposed matches. And the families are not aware of those matches, but you as a provider can see them. And that is the time that you should be reaching out to families and saying, we have a proposed match with you. We would love it if you would come in and do a tour. Let's make sure that this is a good fit for you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You don't have to do that, but it works better if you do. Okay. This is also the time that if you have a reason to decline a family, when you can decline them before the match goes to the family. So, say you're a school district and somebody applies and is matched to you, but they're out of district. Okay. The school district at that point can decline that child because the child is out of district and they don't take out of district kids. So let's say that you have said that you're a co-op and that parent participation is a part of the program model. And you have reached out to the family and they say, oh no, I can't do that. Then you can decline them at that point. Okay. So only if you have a reason to decline on your setup form are you able to decline. Anyone who declines when they don't have that I keep an eye on that list, and I will admit I haven't checked it for about a week, but I keep an eye on that list. And if you have declined somebody that you don't have a reason to decline, I'm going to reach out to you and ask you not to do that again. And I'm going to put that child back in match status, okay, and not approve your declination. So please make sure that you don't decline unless you have a reason to. And if you still have seats open and you have a child who has been matched with you in a program where you still have seats open, you may not decline them. Okay. That's part of matching and the whole matching process. All right. So even if you've accepted 3-year-olds into those seats and you have already, but you didn't ask to have your seats reduced and you have somebody matched, you have to take them. Okay. So make sure you're paying attention to what's going on in there so that you're not caught with a situation where you've been matched with kids that you've made commitment to other families and you can't serve them. As of April 1st, we are going to direct enrollment. And this is where any family, if you have seats open, any family who calls you up and says, hey, I'm interested in enrolling in your program. Can I come out and tour? And you find out that that child is a UPK eligible child, then you can, and if after the tour that family wants to come to you, then you can say to that family, submit a UPK application, put us down as your first choice. When it shows up in my portal, then I will send you a match. And at that point, you family accept that match, and then I can enroll you. So it's not, there's no longer quote unquote matching algorithms going on. It is direct enrollment. Okay. And this is a place where when you see a family in selected status and you do not have any seats in that program, that's a place where you should be declining them at that point in direct enrollment because we want the family to know that you don't have any seats. Okay. So you can decline in pre-registration. You can decline in direct enrollment. You cannot decline during family matching unless you have a reason to do that. So hopefully that's clear to you, but if you need more explanation on that, we can set up a time later where I can talk to you about that. So here's the status definitions: placed, matched, accepted, enrolled, withdrawn, and selected. So these are all defined for you. Placed or offered is what it will look like if you have a preliminary place a preliminary match after the algorithm has run, but before the family has seen it. Matched is when the family actually sees the match and can accept it. Accepted means the family has accepted the match, and that's when you can enroll. You cannot enroll a child in any other status other than accepted. Withdrawn might be a family has declined the match, or it might be because we've withdrawn for whatever reason, and usually at your direction. And selected means that the family has chosen you and they're interested in you, and that's when you need to take action to accept the selection and offer a match or decline. Okay, so here is the matching process. So the family application is completed, it's submitted, and then and then it can go one of two paths there that you can look at, including if a provider declines for whatever reason, what happens there, and then the family is matched and accepted and then enrolled. And there's an explanation of each one of these stages here. So I'm going to stop and ask if anybody has any questions about how this process works. Okay. So we're going to talk about declines again. There are certain, as we said, there are certain reasons to decline that are in your setup form. If you have not checked any of those, then you don't have a reason to decline. And the and then there were certain declines under pre-registration that are down there, but that we're not going to look at that anymore for the simple reason that we're past pre-registration at this point. Okay? Okay, so when a child is in an accepted status, in order for you to be paid for them, you must enroll them. Okay, and so this tells you a little bit about completing the enrollment form. It's quite easy, and there's even several more pages in the handbook around exactly the steps to take to do this. Um, and Yeah, it's pretty darn easy. Um, you're confirming the program that they are enrolled in, not the number of hours that they are qualified for. Okay, so you may have a family who is enrolled in a 15 in a full day program, but they're only eligible for 15 hours. You need to confirm the fact that they're enrolled in a in your full day program. So there's several steps here, but it's very, very simple. Any of you who have children in accepted status right now, you can enroll them now if you would like. You can leave them in accepted status until they have completed your paperwork so that you know which ones have completed the paperwork and which ones have not, or you can enroll them all. But if there is a change made, between now and the start of the school year, we're going to need you to unenroll the child before you reach out to us and ask us to help the family make a change. If you enrolled them, you have to unenroll them. Okay. And you're going to have to unenroll them with the start date that you used that was going to be their first day. So it is clear at that point that the child never attended. Okay. All right, so here's some information about enrolling and unenrolling. We just talked about that. I think the only thing I want to clarify with unenrolling, for those of you who are in the 25, 26 year as well as the 26, 27, if you have children that are leaving now, you have to unenroll them. You have 10 days in which to unenroll them, but you have to unenroll them as of the last date that they actually attended. So I would suggest to you one exception to that, and that is if their last day was let's say March 30th, if that was their last day, if it's a business day, I don't know whether it is or not. I would wait until April 1 to unenroll to be sure that you get paid for March. And I would use April 1 as their last date of attendance. It's not going to make a difference in terms of how much you're paid, but it will make it a lot easier in case, because the state runs the enrollment report on the last day of the month. And so you want to make absolutely sure that you get paid for that month. So I would wait until the first or second business day of the next month and unenroll them as of at that day. And again, it will not affect your payment. It will allow you to be paid without having to submit a reconciliation. So that's the only exception that I would suggest to that to you. Otherwise, you do have to unenroll as of the last day. And if they're there for 2 weeks with you and then they go to another program, you're probably going to have to submit a reconciliation for those first 2 weeks and ask to be paid for those first 2 weeks. But you should always wait until you get your payment report for the next month. Look at it, see what you were paid, and then if you were not paid correctly, submit the reconciliation. And the reconciliation information is all up on the UPK JI page. So this is how to unenroll. Again, this is all in the provider handbook. There is a report that it's an enrollment report basically that you can access that should tell you whether or not your students qualify for supplemental hours. As I said before, this is a little bit of an issue right now, but I will tell you in the report how to read it just to be sure that you know how to read it at this point. If in column R, it says that the anywhere in column R, it says 30 HPW. That means that that child is eligible for 30 hours. Anything else is that's in there is fine and dandy. It doesn't matter. You can ignore it. Okay. But if it has 30 HPW in that column, they are eligible for 30 hours. Okay. Every other child is eligible for 15 unless they are only in a part day program, and then the provider will only be paid for 10 hours a week. Okay. Okay. Let's move on. Okay, we've already talked about direct enrollment and how it works. Okay, the family can start an application or they can contact the provider. Um, During direct enrollment, if it's a new application, the family is only allowed to select two providers at that point. They can't do 10. And the it will show up. The fact that they put you on the application will show up in your portal with that family being in selected status. Okay, you would reach out to that family if they haven't reached out to you and say, "Hey, I see that you've put us on your application. Would you like to do a tour?" Et cetera, et cetera. Um, then, after you've done that, or whatever discussion you have with the family, if they want a match, you can offer them a match. Okay. If you have no seats in the program that they chose, you need to decline them, saying you have no general education seats. Okay, that lets the family know that you don't have any seats in that program. Even if you have seats in another program, when you talk to them on the phone, you can say, "Hey, I don't have any seats in the program that you asked for, but I do have seats in this program. Are you interested in that?" Okay. And if the answer is yes, then reach out to us and we're going to help fix the application so that you can see it and select it again. And then you can offer a match to that family. The family has to either accept or decline that match. Nothing happens until the family does something with that match. If they accept it, you can enroll. If they decline it, then they've changed their mind and they didn't want to tell you. And and then the hopefully the other provider that they put in there works for them. Okay, any questions on that process? Okay. There's some important notes here about direct enrollment. So Um, so students who initiate an application before July 5th may have more than two programs in selected status. In those instances, all providers will be notified of a potential match. Note, families do not need to complete a new application to participate in direct enrollment. And in fact, please never, ever, ever tell a family to submit another application. Okay. We can always help adjust the one that is in there, but duplicate applications do two things. First of all, it increases our work because we have to go back and figure out which application is going to be kept, and then we have to withdraw the other one. A family is only allowed to have one application. And second of all, it makes it very difficult for the family to get back into their application because in some instances, the duplicate application has overridden the other one in terms of their ability to log in. And so that causes a huge mess for them. So no duplicate applications if at all possible. Just say, no, 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 no. Call these people instead. So here, a couple of other questions here. You will not receive an email notification when families select your program. You're going to have to keep an eye on that within your portal. Is the process in real time or do we have to wait overnight for a selection to show up? Nope, it's real time. And all providers will see the child's application. So there may be more than one provider reaching out to the family and asking them whether they want to do a tour. And that's perfectly okay. There's nothing the matter with that. Will they be able to select a program that is full? We have already said yes, they can do that. And if you don't have any seats in that program, you would decline them. Um, or if you want to, you can add seats in that program. And you can do that on your own. But if you're nervous about doing that, you can reach out to us and we can add the seat for you. Remember that you cannot decrease seats. That has to come to us. How long do families have to accept a match? If you send them a match, it's 7 calendar days before they have to accept the match and move forward with the enrollment process. And if they if their match is sitting there for more than 2 weeks, they're probably going to go back to selected status or told to reach out to us to help them. And if they don't want to move forward with the selection, all they have to do is decline that match. Okay, we've talked about supplemental hours and award notifications. And the state is saying that before each matching round and biweekly throughout direct enrollment, they will send communication below to the following groups: families and that are eligible and families that are not eligible. Okay. So again, if a family shows you an email from CDEC that says that they're eligible. Um, okay. So this is information about how you can increase your seats and how you can see how many seats you have. So this is on your home page. And remember, your seats in each program are separate from each other. So we have several providers that have a certain number of seats in extended day and a certain number of seats in full day. And the full day is filled up, but extended seats has, 8 seats in it, right? So, and so people are getting a program full for full day, but they don't know that there's seats in extended day. So if you're looking at that and you're seeing that happen, you can call us and you can say, can you move my 4 of my extended day seats to my full day so that I can send a match to these folks who want full day? And then decrease my extended day seats by 4 so that I don't over enroll. So there is the ability to for us to help you move between seats. I'm sorry, between programs if you want that to happen. Okay. But remember, if all you're doing is increasing your seats, you can do it on your own. Edit seats by count types. Again, this is the same thing about how you edit seats. I'm so sorry. And now we're going to talk about payment. Um, for those of you who are brand new and are not participating in 25-26, you actually have to set up an account with Metrics IQ, and it's called Metrics Enroll. And that once you do that, you're gonna have to submit a W-9 form. You're gonna have to submit a information for your ACH because that's how they pay, etc. Then UPK pays in arrears. And so that means that your services in August are paid on September 15th. Your services in September are paid in October 15th, etc. Okay. Um, any issues that you have with payment must be submitted to Metrics IQ. We cannot help you. I can see the payment reports once they are out. So I can confirm what you're seeing around whether or not you were paid for a particular child or whatever. But I cannot fix it. There's nothing I can do. So you have to submit to Metrics IQ. Okay. And uh, you can see here on this that it says, for any questions or issues related to your payment, submit a ticket here. That is Metrics IQ, and that's in the provider handbook. It's also up on our UPK page. All right. So each of you, if you have a program in which you are offering hours that are beyond what UPK is paying for, you can calculate a private pay tuition for those particular hours that are not funded through UPK. Okay. And again, that must be up on your profile page. So we generally state that the best way to do this is to say you put on your page tuition for a non-UPK family for a full day program is X per week or per month. And then under that, you put tuition for a full day program for a family in UPK who is eligible for 15 hours is X. Tuition for a family who is eligible for 30 hours and is enrolled in the full day program is X. Okay. And then that way, families can see that you actually are giving them a 15 or a 30-hour break from a full tuition, and it's very clear about that. Plus, it's also clear what the family is expected to pay. So, again, if the family is eligible for 15 hours and they are in a program that offers more than 15 hours, you are able to charge for those additional hours. So if you have a 24-hour a week program, only and the family is eligible for 15 hours, then you can charge for the hours between 15 and 24, but you have to publish it. Okay. Same thing if a family is eligible for 30 hours and they're enrolled in a program that is offering more than 30 hours, you can charge them for the hours above that, but you have to publish it. So if you have any questions about any of that, that seems to be one of the more confusing things for particularly new providers. Give me a call and I'll help you figure out how to approach it. There are some simple ways and there are some more complicated ways, but the state does not tell you how to do it. They just tell you that it has to be clear to the family that based on other families that are eligible, that are not eligible for UPK, that the eligible family is getting either their first 15 hours or their first 30 hours free. All fees must be published. Okay, we're almost done here. Oh, we are done. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing. I hope, maybe. Okay. And now I'm going to say, let's talk about anything that was not clear to you, anything that you have further questions about.
There's a question in the chat box. If a family is awarded the 30 hours but is unaware, do we reach out to them to let them know?
You can, if you want to do that and you think that that would be a nice thing for that family, then you can certainly reach out and say, hey, it says on here that you're eligible for 30 hours. You can confirm that by calling the UPK office. But you don't have to. Okay. CDEC is reaching out to families who are eligible for 30 hours. So hopefully, if they're paying any attention to the email that they actually submitted their application with, then they should be aware of that. But again, they can't take advantage of those 30 hours unless they are enrolled in a full day or an extended day program. Good question. What else? Nothing else? Okay, well, I'm hoping that this is helpful for you who are new providers or just feel like you need to get your feet underneath yourself. And please be aware of the fact that Heather and I are here to support you in any way we can. Don't hesitate to ask. So we're going to stop the recording now, and I wish you all a